friend VK, as we call him, Venkatesh Patil, Prakash, all the young friends. It makes me very happy and a very happy Monday morning, I would say, to see so many young people. Amongst the crowd, I see that majority, 70-80% of you are young people. And as VK mentioned, we started maybe 30 years back to do something in our own field. And the climate or atmosphere during that time was not that conducive to do the business. But somehow we struggled. We came up till here and have been successful in our own ways. But looking at you people today, I was just speaking to Naveen. So many young people in startup ecosystem or who really want to be part of startups. I asked him, what is the reason for that? And he said that maybe a generation, he was just telling me a couple of points, but I think he ended up with the first point and we just shifted discussing something else. And he said that because there is kind of a security at home, financial security at home, younger generation really want to do something else. They want to pursue their dreams. They want to pursue their ideas. They want to do something of their own. And that is really great to see because with so many job opportunities available, also well-paying jobs available, you young people have chosen the path of entrepreneurship. And that's very, very heartening to see. And people like Prakash has been doing great job. Vigyan Manthan, the organization or the foundation he said he's heading. So that's a great way to promote and help all of you achieve your dream. And mentorship is something we lacked back then. We didn't have something called as a mentorship. We used to just observe somebody and try to follow him, whether in the right direction or the wrong direction. But today, you have people like Prakash who are mentoring you through your journey. And that's a great job, Prakash, you are doing out here. So, first of all, a very, very warm welcome to all of you to this particular conclave and a happy startup day. That is 16th. So a warm welcome here. And as a president, I would like to first update you about my organization and our organization, how being an MSME organization, we are one of the largest MSME representative organization in India with more than 40,000 members spread across more than 28 states, from Northeast to Andaman Nicobar to Jammu Kashmir, all over India. In Karnataka, we have quite a presence in more than 20 districts and more than 1,600 members. But from MSME, we also, and Naveen has been part of our journey, have thought of promoting the startups. And we organize an annual event and a follow-up events with that particular event, what we do, called as a Tech Bharat. And I think we started way back in 2019 or 20? 2020, yeah, 2020. With first event being only about connecting the startups and updating them with the government policies, getting them to know government officials who are involved out here. The second Tech Bharat was about edutech and edutech and health tech. And the third one, which was last year, in which we also included Belgaum as one-day event at VTU, which was for agri-tech and food tech. And we still continue with agri and food tech, I think, Naveen, in 2023. Krish Gopal Krishnan has been our mentor, and he has been there in all our events. Even in Tech Bharat going ahead, I was telling Naveen, this 19th of this month, we are having interaction meeting in Bangalore with Rajiv Chandrasekhar and about 50 top business, technology business heads and 2 hour interaction session. So Laghu Udyog Bharati also is taking quite or putting its hand ahead to help the startups to see that this ecosystem grows. And as Venkatesh mentioned, maybe by 2025, we dream of being a $5 trillion economy. The other day, I was in one of the conclave with Piyush Goyal ji, and he said 2028, 8 trillion, he said. So these figures are there, and it's not possible without support of all of you. So India is on a, we are already, everyone is geared up, everyone has warmed up, I would say. We are on the runway, all the passengers are sitting here. So it is only the time to take off. And I think we surely, with all the young minds out here, will surely take off. Coming back to today's session, as I said, you all are very, very important economic agents of mass-oriented innovations. Basically, that is what I see in the startup. The kind of innovation that happen in the startups, you don't see anywhere else. Amazing ideas, amazing commitment to that ideas. That is the basis of any startup. And basically, it's not that startups weren't visible a decade or maybe two ago. It is that we have coined the nomenclature of startups now by giving a policy credence to it. Earlier, there was no policy or there was no push specifically from government to something called as a startups. As I said, maybe 30 years back, when we started something, we didn't call it as a startup. We call it as some kind of a business venture. So just to share a few statistics about the startups in the ecosystem out here. Today, as we know, and you people are very well aware that we are the third largest ecosystem when it comes to startups, only behind America and China. And I'm very much sure when the economy migrating from maybe a developing to a developed, as Naveen also said to me, startups play a very, very crucial or a very important role in these kind of a transition. The year-on-year growth for startups has been more than 15 to 20% in India, more than 57,000 plus startups at present in India. The economy size of startups is around $131 billion of total capital being raised all through between 2014 till 2022. Indian startups managed to raise 25 billion in 2022 alone in 1 year. So you can look the kind of support, the kind of belief that people have in startups, and they want to really support the startups. 450 billion plus combined valuation, that's what Indian startups stand, with more than 100 unicorns. Unicorn is the buzzword everyone knows. So we already have 100 plus unicorns. It is expected to cost more than 250 when we speak about $5 trillion economy. By 2025, they expect that minimum there would be close to 250 unicorns there. Seed and bridge funding, also we are seeing a huge increase in that. As I said, the investors have a great faith today. And I was just mentioning to Prasad, last week I was in Coimbatore and I was with Kumar Vembu, CEO of Zoyo Corporation. And we were just sitting and having a tea, and I asked him, how do you identify a successful startup? And he said, I cannot tell you how to identify a success, but I can tell you who is not going to succeed. And when there is no investment or there is no capital investment in his business and it is a single person pursuing his idea, those are some red flags for me. Because people you need investors. You need people to come and invest in your idea. Because that is when your idea becomes more acceptable, and that is where the things go. You alone, just going with that idea and you say, I don't need any investors, is something, he said, as a angel investor for him, is a little bit of a red flag. So very nice to speak to him about that. Startups have created, as I said, more than 40,000 new jobs. So they are also job creators. And basically, startup ecosystem is spread across even the rural side of the countryside. You know about the Zoyo, the story about Zoyo, what they are doing. Similarly, Venkatesh ji spoke about KEDEM and the cluster, like Belgaum, Hubli, Dharwad, Belgaum cluster, or they have got a Mandya, Mysore cluster, or even Mangalore, Udupi and Manipal cluster. So these are three clusters they are working on. The basic focus is to see that the startups in tier 2 cities or tier 3 cities, they are given kind of a support, they are given kind of a more help that is needed. That is also the government is very, very much uh, involved in it. And we are seeing startup across, as I said, Laghu Udyog Bharati itself has worked on agri-tech, food tech. It has been amazing knowing what all technologies can be evolved and done in food and agri-tech. Naveen has been part of that. Maybe Naveen would be able to elaborate later more on some of these technologies. We have worked on edutech, health tech. So there are so many technology. Logistics is one, Prakash. I was just asking Prakash what kind of startups that are there. Apart from web developing and other things, as I said, media and entertainment could be one of them, transport, logistics. A lot of years back, if Venkatesh remember, because there were startups and raising funds was so difficult with, say, someone like Manthan Software, if you remember long back. Manthan was there, then I think a logistic company by name Blackbuck. Blackbuck came over and they wanted to raise some funds, but it was very, very difficult. Maybe around 10 years back, people came over, even they came to Belgaum, we could get along some friends together and let's see if we can support them. But then it was very difficult that time. So we are in really good times right now with so much of investment and everything coming. But along with this, we also need to look at some of the challenges that are this particular sector is going to face. Basically, as I said, you all are lucky that people like Prakash are there. Many startups lack on mentoring and guidance, and they really don't know how to go ahead, what to do. So this mentoring and guidance is going to be one of the biggest challenges that we need to look into, and if we can develop something of that, because the concept is there, they have fantastic concept, fantastic innovation, fantastic ideas, but until and unless some kind of a mentoring is done, that needs to be looked into. So mentoring is something we need to move ahead with. Then, as I said, academia is trying to get it to tier 2, tier 3 cities. But presently, if you see whatever the number of startups, 57,000 startups, or kind of unicorns or investments, we usually see in tier 1 cities. So they need to come down to tier 2 cities like Belgavi and all, particularly IT-enabled industries like e-commerce or transportation, finance, and they need to go beyond this metro. And tier 2 cities have a huge potential, basically, including the intellectual base, including a place like Belgaum with so many engineering colleges, with so much of a education ecosystem existing. We need to, I think, see that we move to the tier 2 cities. And as I said, talking about risk, basically facing challenging situation, a lot of startup. I just heard 95% of startups don't succeed. I think that figure is much higher than 95. It might go up till 98, 99%. So basically, you need a very high degree of leadership quality to lead a startup. Yesterday, I was reading about some quotients. We know about intelligence quotient, then emotional quotient. The another one which is added is adversity quotient. So how you face the adversity, because since so many young people are there, the kind of challenges they face, because every idea cannot be successful, and if there is such a high failure rate, they should be very fast in coping up with that and moving on with the next thing. So basically, these are some of the things I wanted to just mention out here. And government and corporates have been very, very forthcoming in supporting. We know Startup India has been a big boon or a support in giving grants as well as helping the startups. Facebook, in partnership with Startup India, dispersed cash grants of more than $50,000 to each of top 5 selected startups. 10,000 Women Program by Goldman Sachs, we all know, in providing women entrepreneurs all around the world. Microsoft Ventures, accelerator programs. So there are so many of them, Department of Animal Husbandry, and we have worked with them with food tech especially. SIDBI has been on the forefront of helping the startups with funding and all this thing. And as I said, with our Prime Minister launching the startup initiative, basically, the government has unveiled a startup plan and a specialized fund with a dedicated 10,000 crores specifically for startups. So it's an amazing time to be, especially in the startup ecosystem. And as I said, usually they are driven by the idea, but at the end of the day, that idea has to be more acceptable and more people be part of that idea. So I strongly believe that the passion of the startup people who start the startup, the capital, the technology, the guidance, mentoring, these all things, when we put together, I am very much sure that that failure rate, which is considered to be very high, will surely start dropping down, and lot many people and lot many young people out here would be successful. So once again, I want to thank Prakash for organizing this conclave, and great to be here on Monday morning. And I wish you all the best, and I hope you'll have great session all through the day. And I know Naveen is here, VK would be there in the evening. So all the best once again, and happy Startup Day to all of you. Thank you.